Update: my wife refuses to accept our divorce and thinks she's trying to trick me. Original post. My wife and I have been married for 4 years, and up until a year and a half ago, things were fantastic. Our marriage began to deteriorate after there was a significant drop in sex between us, not intimacy, just the actual sex part of the relationship. We would still cuddle and have deep, intimate moments talking and just being around each other, but she kept rejecting my attempts at taking things further past kissing. Now, we've had no problem communicating, so I made sure to address it early, and we talked and made adjustments. We both made sure to stay in shape, we tried being more adventurous, we went to couples therapy/counseling, and even tested both of our hormone levels. Everything was normal. Each solution would work for a little while, and then we'd be back to having sex maybe once a month. I asked her several times if she was no longer attracted to me, to which she denied every time. I asked her if I was falling short in the relationship in any other way, to which she said no. Well, about a month ago, she got back from her therapy session and told me that she believes she's asexual, and that's the reason for her libido being non-existent as of late. I was definitely confused because we had such great sex for a while in the beginning of our relationship, but her telling me that she's now asexual was heartbreaking because everything else is great. Obviously, I'm not going to force her to have sex, so we had a long conversation about our relationship, and I came to the conclusion that we should get a divorce. I say I because she immediately rejected the idea and said we would figure something out, and wouldn't talk to me about it anymore. I didn't know what to say, so I dropped it. Well, 3 weeks go by, without sex, and I decided that I have to do this for my own mental well-being, so I filed for divorce and had her served with the papers. Last week, when I got home from work, she was going about her day like nothing was wrong. I asked her if she signed the papers, and she flat out said, "We are not getting a divorce," and changed the subject, acting like things were normal. Obviously, I thought this was crazy, so I stopped her and said I couldn't be in a marriage devoid of sex, and I mentioned that I was being incredibly fair with our divorce. She can keep the house that we bought and paid for with cash. She paid 1/3, I paid 2/3, I'd take all of the debt, which isn't much, we'd split our savings and investments in half, and she can keep 2 of our 3 paid-off cars. I only wanted to keep my sports car. Thankfully, we don't have kids. I love her and wanted her to be comfortable, and I have no problem starting over since I make a good income. But she won't budge or talk about the divorce. This brings us to 2 days ago. I got home and went to our bedroom and found my wife's friend in our bed naked. I immediately shut the door, said sorry, and went looking for my wife. I found her in the kitchen and asked what her friend was doing here, and she said that she was here for me. I put 2 and 2 together and said that I'm not having sex with other women in place of the woman I chose to marry. She was adamant, saying that I could sleep with her friend whenever I wanted and that her friend agreed to it. I couldn't believe things had gotten this far, so I went back to our bedroom and asked her friend to leave. I packed a bag, and I've been staying in a hotel nearby since that night. My wife, her mother, and her sister keep calling me, but I'm just not interested in hearing what they have to say. This feels like a trick. I just want this whole thing to be over. Does anyone have advice? Is this some kind of ploy for alimony? We do have a prenup. Should I just contact my lawyer and try to force the divorce? I'm really uncomfortable with this entire situation. Edit: we talked last night. I'll update when I get home from work. Reading the top comments before the updates. You did right, bro. Let your attorney handle this. Do not have sex with anyone until your attorney says you're in the clear. That's my only course of action right now. I'm going to look for an apartment tomorrow. Also, why are you offering her so much? Split the marital property equitably and move on. If you even have the slightest inclination that she's trying to set you up, then don't just roll over and let her have everything, because that won't be enough for her and her attorney. She has been wonderful to me otherwise. I don't feel like she should be punished for finding out who she is. I want her to be comfortable because she doesn't make nearly as much as I do. I can bounce back with no issue. She'll still have to work to provide for herself unless she marries another high earner or becomes one herself. A fresh start doesn't scare me at all. Force the divorce. If necessary, be prepared to move to a state that doesn't require the consent of the other spouse, if the one you currently live in is not this way. Also, don't play nice, protect yourself and your interests. My state does require a spouse's consent. I'm afraid that if this goes to a judge, then our prenup will be thrown out if she contests the divorce. I make significantly more than her. No one has mentioned this, but infidelity is frequently used as a stipulation for invalidating prenups. This may have been her goal when trying to get you to sleep with her friend. First update. Here's the update if anyone's interested. I'll try to keep this as concise as possible. I feel overwhelmed, so I probably won't bother with another update after this one. I don't know. My wife came to my hotel last night, and we talked about everything. She told me the full truth and what's going on in her mind. 1. A few of you commented this in the last post, so you were right. She has always been asexual, and she and her whole family have known this since she was 16. Apparently, this is the reason why her last long-term relationship of 3 years ended. He broke up with her after the sex between them diminished to being non-existent after the first year. She told me that sex is easier for her in the beginning when emotions are running high, but she still needs to force herself to have it. I knew they broke up due to irreconcilable differences, but I didn't ask for details, nor did she tell me. After a lot of apologies and crying, she told me that I was the first person she was able to tolerate sex with for so long and that she did enjoy it a handful of times, but after a while, she still felt like she was being raped. I broke down after hearing this and started kicking myself for not catching on to any of this. She said she tried her best to please me as much as she could. 2. She still doesn't want a divorce, and she doesn't want the house, cars, or the savings. She just wants me and is ready to do whatever it takes to keep me. She even said that she would sign a postnup stating this. 3. As for her friend, she was there during her last breakup and helped to support her through it. My wife went to her after I brought up divorce and talked things out. Her friend suggested that she open the relationship for me, but she said she didn't want me sleeping with strange women, so her friend volunteered herself to be the one that sleeps with me. My wife thought this was a great idea, which led to the fiasco at our house. I won't comment on her appearance because it doesn't matter, and I don't blame the friend. 4. My lawyer got back to me. You were all right. I don't need her permission, but I will have to wait if I want to push it through. 5. I asked her why she lied to me this entire time, and she said she was tired of being rejected after revealing she was asexual, so she convinced herself that she would be able to force herself to have sex during the relationship. The hormone testing, the sessions in couples therapy, and all of our solutions were just her buying time to find another way around sex or to give herself enough time to build up the strength to start regularly having sex with me again. 6. Our conversation ended with us holding each other in bed, crying for a couple of hours. No, we didn't have sex. She pleaded with me to hold off on the divorce to look for a solution together and left my hotel room. 7. I'm now sitting alone, typing this effing post. I guess I found out that we don't share everything with each other. 8. Thank you to everyone who has messaged me directly, I'm still trying to get to all of them. 9. I don't know what I'm going to do. Second update, 1 month later. I don't think I can link my previous post, so just go to my profile, I guess, if you care to read the OP. I've tried to read every comment/message and take to heart what most of you had to say. Also, please stop messaging me, I can't respond to everyone, it's too much. I'll make this as short as possible. After my last update, my wife asked me to meet with her about a week later to discuss things. I've been staying at an extended stay since that night with her friend. We met at our house and talked for a few hours. She started off with a ton of apologies for how she acted, her lying about her sexuality, and not taking my sexual needs more seriously. Before I could say anything, she presented a signed postnup agreement she had drafted with a lawyer, stating that she doesn't want anything, the house, the cars, the savings, everything. I felt like the biggest a-hole for thinking that she was tricking me for more money. I asked her if she was serious, and she told me to take the postnup with me and sign it when I'm ready. I still haven't signed it, it's in my backpack. I told her that I still think divorce is our best course of action and that we both deserve to find someone who matches our needs. She still refused and borderline begged me to reconsider. She started crying, and so did I. Seeing her like this was devastating. I told her that her finding other women to sleep with me wasn't going to work. What if I develop feelings for them? What if I get one of them pregnant? Do we expect her to get an abortion? She said we'll figure it out as we go along and to please give her more time to work on other solutions. She's set up appointments for sex therapy, hormone therapy, and is seeing a sex guru. I said that it sounds like we're going through the same things again, but she was adamant and pleaded with me to wait. There were more apologies on both sides, and we kissed for a while before ending the conversation. Then I went back to my hotel that night. A few days later, I tried texting her, but she didn't respond, so I called her dad. I'm avoiding her mother and sister since they're saying the same things as my wife. Her dad told me that she moved back home and has been holed up in her room since our talk. She called out of work. He told me that she's barely eating, bathing, or talking to him or her mom. He asked me what I was going to do, but I didn't have an answer for him. He just said he understands and that he would be here to talk anytime I wanted to. So, I went back to her house, and a good portion of her stuff was gone. The whole place feels empty. I've been sleeping in one of the spare rooms. I'm planning on flying to my mother's house in a couple of weeks to spend time with my family and decompress from this entire situation. I'm still on the divorce side of the fence, but I guess there's no rush. Thank you to everyone for your insight and concern, seriously. I know we're all strangers, but most of you have been a huge help to my mental health. Seriously, thank you. Also, my cousin uses Reddit and reached out after he found my last post and asked me to shout him out if I made an update. Love you, Virgil, thank you for being there for me. I think I'll just make a quick edit to this post once we reach a resolution, for anyone that cares. Last update, 10 months later. Hey everyone, in hindsight I regret making these posts because I think I received too many pieces of advice. I keep thinking I should have just handled it internally with just family. I don't regret my decisions, I just wish I gave myself more time to think. Anyway, here's the update. I'll keep it short. The divorce was finalized months ago, our house was sold along with one of the cars, and my ex-wife is still living with her parents. I had a little more than 2/3 of the proceeds wired to her account, but the last time I talked to her dad she hasn't touched a dime. I was informed that she checked into a mental health clinic, but I don't know how long she was there or what her current state is. I changed my number, but her dad has emailed me a few times to check on me throughout this last year, which breaks my heart because he's a great man. Him playing both sides of the fence like this really made everything go a lot smoother. Other than not warning me, which I honestly don't think it was his place to, he's been a huge help. I moved back to my home state to be closer to my family. I may leave to go to another state again. I don't know, I'm not sure yet. I feel numb from this whole thing. Not much of a drinker, so I've been smoking a ton of pot and working out to occupy my mind. To everyone who didn't get a response from me in my messages, I'm sorry, but there were just too many. I responded to as many as I could mentally handle. I think that's it. I can't imagine that there would be any additional questions, but I'll answer whatever I can. Are you happy? That's all I would like to know at this point, brother. You've been through a lot. I'm happy to be alive to experience the highs and lows of this existence. I'm happy to move on to the next chapter of my life. Thank you for asking, brother. Good to hear, man. Just out of curiosity, do you see yourself ever capable of being friends with her again, or is the pain too strong to ever be around her again? I view her differently now, although I still love her. I don't know about the distant future, but for now there's no way. On to the next story. My marriage is built on a prank. So, not technically married, but getting married in a few weeks. I and my fiancée have been together for almost 7 years now, but we've known each other for longer since we went to school together. Anyway, it was Spirit Week before Christmas break in our senior year of high school, and the student government had done a candy cane gram fundraiser. I was in homeroom when I got the note asking me out on a date, signed by who I thought was my now fiancée. To be fair, I was a bit too excited at the time and didn't acknowledge that there were multiple handwritings on the note. He was almost always late getting into school, so I found him on his way in, showed him the note, and excitedly said, "You wanna go on a date?" To which he gave me the most confused look, in part because he had woken up maybe half an hour ago, was a full class period late, and then was promptly bombarded by a girl he only somewhat knew, and said, "What?" I then showed him the note again and said, "You asked me out." He told me he didn't send me that note, but me being 17 at the time and not wanting to accept that someone was making a joke at my expense said, "Well, do you want to go out?" He said, sure, and over Christmas break we had our first date. When I was waiting for him to pick me up for the date, my sister did a tarot card reading for me to kill time and so she could practice. The whole reading was about how I was going to go on this great love journey. I was definitely not ready to hear that an hour before my first date with the first and only boy I have ever dated. But there I was sitting in his car, trying not to visibly panic over cosmic fate. Obviously, the date went well, and we've had many after. As our wedding approaches, I keep reflecting back on where we started, standing awkwardly at his locker, to now sharing our awkwardness for the rest of our lives. To the people who sent the note, you may have done so as a joke to get a laugh at me, but I'm getting married and you're still single, so who really won here? Info. I thought I'd add this since I didn't make it super clear in the post and I saw some questions. For context, I'm a little on the autism spectrum, so it can be easy for me to miss social cues, not understand tone, and not get jokes. The school I went to wasn't that big, so it didn't take me long to figure out who sent it. The people who sent it had put me in situations where I didn't really understand that I was the joke and ended up really embarrassed in the process. When I got the note on the candy cane gram asking me out, I was honestly too excited to even really check it because my fiancé was, and still is, a dream come true. So I really wanted nothing more at the time than to believe he actually liked me. For the people asking how I know the ones who sent the note are still single, they're very active and public on social media, so it wasn't hard to find out. I also still talk with some of my old classmates who have filled me in. Just to be clear, I don't really care that this is how we started, I just think it's ironic, and now I can laugh about it. He is the best thing that's ever happened to me, and I'm forever grateful to have him in my life. I've really loved reading all the funny stories in the comments about how people have gotten together. Thank you guys for reading and engaging, it really means a lot. I'm failing to see the prank. He might not have written the note, but he still went out with you, so he wanted to. Have you ever asked him if he talked about you with some friends? Because he might have had some dang good wingman/men that set the two of you up for a date. And OP, please. If you really think it was in order to humiliate you, reflect on that. Why? That's my bad for not making it more clear in the post, I'm sorry. He had no interest in me prior and actually liked someone else, but she rejected him a few days before the candy canes were sent out because she liked someone else. For context, I'm a little on the autism spectrum, so people, for whatever reason, think it's funny when I don't get the joke. When I found out who sent it, it became really clear it wasn't in good fun, as they had put me into situations previously where I didn't know it was a joke and ended up really embarrassed. But my soon-to-be husband loves my artistic works now, so it worked out.